everybody, and welcome to a little bit of a different daily distinction today. Really glad that you're here, and thanks for checking in with me today. Earlier this morning, we had a webinar on the 3 critical mistakes that businesses, particularly small business, professional service firms and the like, challenges that they have as they try to create distinction. And so what I wanted to do today, and a couple of Ted was there, Charles was there, some other folks were there from our group here. But what I wanted to do today is just to share that with you, because that's really core content. I mean, it's really, really important. So, hey, Carlos, good to see you. Donovan, coming live from Southern Fire, California. Holy cow. And not just Southern, Northern as well. I saw the horrible fires up in Napa. Donovan, good to see you, and we'll be talking to you soon from not so hot and very sunny Houston. You know, it's a beautiful day here in Vegas, 84 degrees, perfect here as well. Hey, Darcy, always great to see you. Brian, great to see you as always. So I want to share with you what we talked about today during the webinar that we hosted. It was on the 3 critical reasons a small business fails to stand out in the marketplace. So take a look at just a little bit of what we talked about today, and hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for being a part of this. We're going to be talking about the challenges that small business faces. Why do small businesses fail? What can we do about it? What are the critical reasons? So we're going to have a short program today on identifying, I think, the 3 primary reasons that small businesses fail to stand out in the marketplace. So that becomes an important challenge for us. What do we need to do? Look, as you're joining me here today, I'm assuming that part of the reason that you're here is because you are involved with a small business, right? I mean, you want to know how to stand out in your marketplace. You don't want to fail in small business. Certainly what's been going on with COVID, what has been going on in the economy, all of this has created new challenges and problems that we have to face. So what are they? I think so many times we just get overwhelmed in small business. Unlike a big corporation where there's a lot of division of work, in a small business, most of us have to wear a lot of hats, and that creates its own special set of unique challenges. You add to that the problems that we have in terms of the pandemic and the problems that we have with the economy and the division that's happening with an election coming up, and all of those things creates a special and unique set of challenges for us. So why do we need to stand out? Why do we need to separate ourselves from our competition in the marketplace? Well, what we have to do is to understand that there are some pretty specific reasons why small business fails to stand out. And by the way, Charles, good morning. Great to see you. Ted, good to see you this morning. Thanks, everybody, for leaving a message in the chat. If you have a question along the way, I'll be happy to answer it. If you're watching this webinar on the replay, then sorry you won't be able to participate in the live questions, but nonetheless, hopefully the content will still be of value, and the special offer we'll be talking about at the end of the program is absolutely applicable to you as well. So thanks everybody for being here, and we're going to be talking about what happens here. Why do we have this difficulty? Why do we have this challenge? And it gets us back to that question, why do most small businesses fail? You know, you see all these statistics that say over a 10-year period, and depending on what statistics you look at, something like 8 or 9 of 10 small businesses. So think about that for a minute. 80 to 90% of small businesses fail. Why is that? Why is the attrition so high? And I'm going to suggest to you quite simply that the reason that most of these small businesses are failing is simply because they are indistinguishable from their competition. The biggest reason for small business failure is that customers can't tell the difference between you and competition. When you're indistinguishable from your competition, the problem is it becomes a price play. And that's the worst spot for any small business to be in. Here's what I want you to consider for a minute. You enter the marketplace, and I don't care if we're talking about a cosmetic surgeon talking about performing facelifts, or if we're talking about a financial advisor that's going to help you create your retirement plan, or an auto body shop, or a dry cleaners, whatever it might be. Let's say that you have a dry cleaners, and a competing dry cleaners opens up down the street. and they put up a sign in their window, shirts $1.99. Now you've always charged $2.50 for a shirt, but they're going to do it for $1.99. So what do? If you're like most small businesses, you cut your price to $1.99. In fact, you may go all the way down to $1.95 just to show, right, that you're better. And you think that's the way that you distinguish yourself from the competition until they put up a sign that says $1.89. Now you're just in a price play. It's not about the customer. It's not about the shirt. It's about the price. Assuming that the only thing a customer wants is that cheapest price. Here's the important point. The customer is looking for some way to and if there's no other compelling reason other than my shirt is 5 cents cheaper at one than another, naturally they're going to choose the lowest priced option. That's just how we are as customers. It's how you are as customers. However, if you can provide them a point of distinction, for example, at a nearby dry cleaners here in Las Vegas, they talk about how great they are for the environment. The chemicals that they use not only are better for the environment, but softer and safer for your shirt. Now, all of a sudden, the $2.49 shirt is kind of a better deal than the $1.89 shirt. Why? Well, because the chemicals aren't as harsh and my shirt's going to last longer. And by changing the game, by making it more than just a price play, they create space for themselves in the market. Yet, as we see here, the reason for most small business failure is being indistinguishable from the competition. So part of what you have to decide is how you're going to make a difference. In other words, the problem for these small businesses, they don't stand out in the marketplace. There's no compelling reason to choose them instead of the competition. And see, that's one thing that we often overlook, is that customers don't just choose us. They choose us instead of the other alternatives that are out there in the marketplace. So when the customer walks in the door of that dry cleaners that we were talking about, they aren't saying, hey, I choose you, dry cleaner A. Really what they've done is to say, I choose you instead of dry cleaner B, dry cleaner C. And that's a really, really important distinction to make. In a competitive marketplace, all customers are doing is deciding which of the many alternatives that they are going to select. Now more than ever, small business has big business competition. Some of you I know from looking here have heard me tell the story of my parents' grocery store in my hometown of Crothersville, Indiana, and the big competition that moved in on the other side of town, the supermarket that came in. Man, they had all kinds of things that we didn't. They had what one old boy back home called the seeing eye door. You walked up, it opened. How did it know? Right? It was the first one in our small town. The automatic door that opened when you walked up. I mean, they had aisles of linoleum floors that were very polished and very shiny and very bright. We didn't have that. We had a wooden floor. And there were so many different things. So we knew who our competition was, though. It was that supermarket down the street. Matter of fact, when we drove from our little grocery store to go home, we drove by the competition. There they were. We could spot them every single day. Times have changed. Your competition might as well be in Bangalore as Baltimore. It might as well be in Mumbai as Madison. So when you have such intense competition in small business, it becomes even more important to stand out. I mean, I can order cologne, and I saw this the other day and tried it, and it worked. You know, there's a cologne that I get at the department store, and it's the one I've always worn. You know, it's the one I wear. And I noticed online that I could get it in 2 days, just dropped off at my house. So now I don't have to drive, I don't have to park. And to tell you the truth, the department store experience isn't that good. You know, the store with all that's going on there, you can't get anybody to wait on you. What? They didn't create a compelling enough experience for me to choose them instead of, and it's shipped from China. I mean, so now this department store Their competition isn't the other department store at the mall. Their competition is their customer ordering something from China. The world has so dramatically changed. So the question is, what are the critical problems that's going on in the world today when it comes to small business? Here's what I'm going to suggest to you. It's not that you don't know what to do in your business. It's that you don't know how to take what you're doing and make it stand out from the rest. That's the fundamental challenge. How do you take what you're already doing in your marketplace and make it stand out from the rest? Well, first, we have to tackle problem number one. And problem number one is the problem I call too much. Too much. We offer too many products and services to our customers. I know that when some of you hear this, you're thinking, what? What do you mean? That's ridiculous. If I don't offer this, if I stopped offering that, I would make less money. If I stopped offering this particular service, then I'm not as valuable to my customers. I understand that thinking because I made that same mistake in my business. See, one of the things that I did in the early days of my business was to try to offer as many programs as possible to meeting professionals and the organizations I was seeking to serve. Hey, I do a program on leadership, on sales, on time management. Well, I didn't really have a program on time management, but if you booked me for that, I'd figure it out before I got there. Stress management, yeah, I'm so stressed out from having a small business. I need to figure that out. I'll study it up. So what I found was that I could do a good presentation about anything, but a great presentation about nothing. The other thing was I was a generic. I couldn't get known for anything because I talked about everything. I had a personal situation, a personal challenge, personal tragedy that I went through. And it really forced me to take a look at what do you do? How do you stand out in a hyper-competitive marketplace? Whether that marketplace is speaking and training, coaching, consulting, or whether that marketplace is insurance or financial advice, or whatever that marketplace might be. So one of the things I discovered as I researched this and wrote 3 best-selling books about it is one thing that you're going to find really surprising, and that is that less really is more. Oh, we've heard that forever. Less is more. Less really is more. Because you become known for something, because you become recognized for something, because you become the go-to for that particular item. I was on a call the other day, and one of the other folks in the call was talking about how they weren't able to book any coaching business. And part of the reason, he said, was he was entering the marketplace, and what he did, it was coaching for healthcare professionals. Not much. So then he thought, I'll narrow it. Coaching for healthcare professionals who work in hospitals. Not much. He changed it to say, working for healthcare professionals in the emergency room, stressed out during COVID-19. Business went up. Coaching for healthcare professionals working in the emergency room in COVID-19, encountering enormous degrees of personal and marital relationship stress. Boom. Now, isn't it interesting that business went up as his offerings went down? Same thing is true. We see it in big business examples. When Steve Jobs came back to Apple, the first thing he did, often overlooked, but the first thing he did was slash an enormous number of product lines. Apple started selling less than they had sold before. So what does this mean to you? Well, I'm going to suggest that part of what it means to you is simply that less is really more. That what we need to do is to think about how can we reduce the number of offerings that we have to be a specialist in what we are out there offering. Hey, if you look at healthcare, there's a reason that the specialist is paid more than the general practitioner. We value specialization more. So how can we hone in what we do? Or another way to approach this is to reduce the number of messages that we bring. Someone asked me, do I speak about leadership? I said, no. I'll speak about how leadership can make your organization distinctive, or how leaders create a distinctive path, or distinctive leadership, incorporating the elements where I do have expertise. How do you create distinction and differentiation in the marketplace? How do you differentiate how your leaders get? They want that. That's what they want. So by honing the overall theme and not having 10 different messages out there, just one, it made all the difference for me. Next, here's one I see a lot. Problem 2 is that what matters to you isn't what matters to them. One of the hardest things I've had to learn is that you are not your customer. You're not. You are not your customer. You have to find out what they really want. I see so many times when folks get into business, they think because they have experienced that problem, or because they know a solution, that their solution naturally is what the customer desires. And there's an inherent problem in this that we often overlook, and we really overlook it in small business. Here's the problem in understanding that we are not our customer, and that is, it's really hard to think like your customer when you have to think ahead of them to serve them best. Think about that for a second. To serve your customer, you have to think ahead of them. You have to have the solution that they're looking for. If they had the solution, they wouldn't be seeking a solution if they had the solution, right? So you have to think ahead of your customer. But that very act of thinking ahead of your customer also means that over a period of time, you stop thinking like your customer. Let me use another Steve Jobs overused example, but it makes the point. And Steve Jobs talked about how much at Apple they hated their phones. You know, they had the flip phone, they had a candy bar phone, they had the typical old phone of many years ago. Some of you may not even be old enough to remember those old phones, but that's what they had years ago, pre-smartphone. Well, that's thinking like the customer. We hate our phone. This could be so much better. It's frustrating. Hitting those numbers over and over just to get, to get the zero, you got to hit N and then O to get there. A lot of folks won't even remember that, right? But they were frustrated with their phones. That's thinking like the customer. Now, thinking ahead of the customer is when they said, well, what if it had a different design? And what if it was, that's thinking ahead of the customer. When iPhones start and Android phones start becoming so complex that they're no longer easy to use, the reason is because they've stopped thinking like the customer. Matter of fact, now they're thinking so far ahead of the customer that what they're bringing in is to impress other people in their industry, not to actually serve what the customer is desiring and wanting. So the point is this: because you aren't thinking like your customer, you aren't bringing the solutions to the marketplace that's really important to them. So what do you do about it? I mean, how do you fix that? It's so hard to think like your customer when you have to think ahead of them to serve them best. Here's problem 3. And I think this one is the most serious one for small businesses. And that is, you've allowed your customers to become complacent. That's what we've done. We have allowed our customers to become complacent. See, if customers can predict what you're going to do and know exactly what you're going to do, it's so easy for them to be distracted by something new. I know. You're thinking, oh, wait, Scott, hang on here. Aren't we supposed to be reliable? Yes, absolutely. You are totally supposed to be a reliable provider of your products or services. Here's what I don't want you to become: an overly predictable provider of products and services. Look, reliable is something we desire. When Amazon says I'm going to get it in 2 days, I want to get it in 2 days. Right? When my dry cleaner says my shirts will be ready tomorrow after 5, I want them tomorrow after 5. As I talk in the book Iconic and quote my friend Larry Winget, what they really want us to do is to do what we said we would do when we said we would do it. That's being reliable. Being predictable is that they say the same thing when I go in the dry cleaners every time. Thank you. No passion, no commitment, no connection. It's that there's nothing that surprises me. It becomes boring. Look, we've got to do something to shake things up. How many times have you seen posted, whether on Facebook or a front door, if you're on that, the neighborhood service, how many times have you seen posted where somebody is so excited because the person in line at Starbucks paid for the coffee of the person behind them? Why did that delight and surprise us? Why does that make us even want to go back to Starbucks more? Because it's something that's different. It's something unique. It's something surprising. We expect the coffee to be good. We expect the coffee to be hot. We didn't expect somebody to pay for it. We love being surprised in a way that's productive and enjoyable and compelling. Look, I don't mean I open up a box of what I've ordered from you and something else is in there, right? That's not the surprise I want. But what I do want is to be delighted in a unique way. So it's important for us to remember that familiarity does not breed contempt. My mom always used to say that. Familiarity breeds contempt. No, it doesn't. It breeds complacency. The longer I do business with you, it doesn't mean I'm going to hold you in scorn or in disrespect. But what I am going to do is start being complacent about what you provide. I'm going to be complacent about the service that you deliver. So familiarity doesn't breed contempt. Rather, it breeds complacency. So I'll ask you this important question. When was the last time you changed something in your business? When was the last time that you did something unexpected for your customers? Unexpected. When was the last time that you did that? Because what we find is in so many situations, people can't think of it. They can't think of it. I'm not saying you have to blow out the budget. See, all of these are simple things. Alan Rush, a friend of mine and a client, posted on Facebook the other day and linked to me on it a napkin that he was handed on an American Airlines flight. And it was just a note from the flight attendant thanking him for flying so many miles. And as so many people are not flying, we just want to really express our appreciation to those who do. Now think about this for a minute. Alan flies as much as anybody I know. That was the first time he'd gotten that message on a napkin. But here's the other thing. What did he do? He took a picture of that message and he posted it on Facebook and he posted it on LinkedIn. And then I took that picture and I resent it to my followers. Think of the impact of doing that one little thing of surprise. When was the last time you sent a handwritten note to thank somebody doing business with you? When was the last time that you did something unique and surprising? One of my favorite salespeople, maybe my favorite salesperson of all time, Carl Nielsen at Dreyer and Reinroll B&W in Indianapolis. Carl's retired and no longer there. But I remember years ago when we had bought a car from him, and I get a card in the mail. And I opened it up and it said, "Happy anniversary." And I called him to give him a rough time. I said, "No, this is not our wedding date. This is not the anniversary. This is not our anniversary, but thanks." So they said, no. This is the anniversary of when you bought your car. And happy anniversary. It's your car anniversary. It was unexpected. It was a surprise. Guess who had the first chance to sell us our next car? And he did. See, these moments of surprise and delight don't bust your budget. It's something that a small business can do or an individual professional can do that is better than what the corporation can do. See, as an entrepreneur, as a small business person, you have the unique ability to create connectivity. And it's hard for me to feel connected to Amazon. But have you noticed how they try? Hey, people like you also bought this. That's trying to get that. It's not only suggestive selling, it's trying to enhance personal connectivity. So the challenge for us is to find ways that we can and will continue to do that. So we got to think of how we can do something unexpected and surprising and enjoyable for our customers. And that's why I'd like to talk to you about what we've got coming up October 16th to the 18th. It is our Distinction Summit. What you need to do is to go to distinctionsummit.com. If this information has been important to you here, then what I'd like for you to do is to check out our program that we have coming up. The Distinction Summit is going to be October 16th, the 18th. We've announced a couple of the guest speakers that are going to be a part of it. Glenn Morshower of the television show 24. He's regularly now on the Fox TV series The Practice. He will be one of the special guest speakers. My great friend Sage Steele of ESPN is also going to be joining us for the Distinction Summit. And I'm pleased to announce that my great friend I mentioned earlier, Larry Winget, is going to be one of our keynote speakers during the Distinction Summit as well. So check out the website, distinctionsummit.com. The date is October 16th to the 18th, and you can save $100 on your summit registration. All you have to do is add the coupon code DISTINCT2020. If you add your coupon code DISTINCT2020, you can save $100 off your registration. So go to distinctionsummit.com. You can learn more. Enter the coupon code DISTINCT2020. It means that a general admission for our 2.5-day event is under $100. Our VIP program that will provide a special lunch with a special guest and will provide the video of all of the programs and more is available for $3.99 when you use the coupon code. It's a great value either way. So go and sign up, because what we're going to be digging into are the answers to these problems. We talked about these important problems during this program. You can discover deep answers. By the end of the Distinction Summit, what you're going to have is a complete program, a complete blueprint for what you need to stand out and earn more in today's hyper-competitive marketplace. Remember, we said at the beginning, the major reason that most small businesses fail is they are indistinguishable from their competition. Now, as Larry mentioned in the video that he did about the Distinction Summit, the problem is you think your product is great, and you think your service is great, and you think your customer service is great, and you think that you're special in the market. And that's exactly what your competition is thinking too. And while you think so, and it's good you do, what's critical is that your customer thinks so. And that's what I've been researching for almost 20 years now, is what does it take to stand out in the hyper-competitive marketplace? That's why this information is so critically important. So what do you need to do? Well, I think you first of all need to take a look at the 3 issues that we examined today. Think about the fact that familiarity breeds complacency. What can you do about that? How can you get better at that? It means you have to find something to surprise and delight and engage with your customers. So that becomes extraordinarily important. Another thing that you need to take a look at is to understand, as we said earlier, that you don't think like your customer. That maybe what's mattering to you isn't necessarily what matters to them. And that first problem that we talked about, maybe you're offering too much. Maybe in your desire, and it comes from a good place, in your desire to be all things to all people, in your desire to have the right services, the right products for your customers, you're offering so much that it becomes overwhelming. One of my coaching clients in the past is a Columbia professor, Dr. Sheena Eignar, who wrote the incredible book called The Art of Choosing. Many experts believe that she is the #1 expert in the world on how people make a choice. And she coined the phrase decision fatigue, which means that when we are presented with an overwhelming number of options, we tend not to choose any of them. That happens a lot in small business. We have so many things that we want to do to help you that what we do instead is overwhelm you. And then you fail to make a choice. By the way, not making a choice It's the worst thing prospecting too, right? Because it means they don't have a solution, and you're not even in the running anymore. So to review very quickly, what our problems were: number one, too much. You offer too many products or services, therefore you're not known for anything. Less really is more. Problem number two, what matters to you isn't exactly what matters to them. You got to find out what they really want. It's hard to think like your customer when you have to think ahead of them to serve them best. And problem number three is you've allowed your customers to become complacent. Familiarity doesn't breed contempt, it breeds complacency. So our challenge is to do something unexpected for our customers. If you'd like to develop the blueprint that it takes to stand out and earn more in today's hyper-competitive marketplace, then I'd like for you to join me at our Distinction Summit, October 16th to the 18th. And you can save $100 when you enroll. Just use the code DISTINCT2020. Well, I hope today's program has been of value to you, and I look forward to seeing you in just a couple of weeks at the upcoming Distinction Summit. Thanks for taking time to join me today. I really appreciate it. If there's anything that we can do to be of service, we look forward to that to help you create distinction. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. I was just talking away here. Man, it's too bad you missed. That's the most profound thing I've said today, and it was muted, and I forgot it. No. Anyway, I was talking about thank you for watching, but also to make sure that everybody caught that announced that Larry Wingett's going to be joining me at the Distinction Summit. We're going to be talking with Larry about something that's really at the Ultimate Business Summit. Larry talked mostly about sales and how we sell and that. Here, we're really going to be honing in on clarity. What can you do to get really clear? I saw that Jerry posted a few minutes back that you've got to know your niche to own your niche. And that's exactly what we're talking about here, is how do you get really, really clear? You can't differentiate what you can't define. And so you got to be really precise in your definition about what you're taking to the marketplace and about who you are and what separates you from the competition. And I'm going to be working with you on that at the Distinction Summit. Larry Wingett is going to join us and work on it and talk about that as well. So hope to see you there. I really look forward to seeing you. Thank you for taking time to watch today. Yes, the pit bull will be hungry to give us a grill it. I love that, Brian. That does it for me for today for Daily Distinction. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the same time with an all brand new episode of Daily Distinction. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.